for playing this lovely video. So good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of ASMA, a short form of adoption of social media in academia, a leading community in academia, I, Chandan Anand, Vice President of InnoSub Group, welcome everyone today at an important and exciting deliberation. Let me invite your attention for a minute. I feel extremely proud to brief you about our growing community in academia, ASMA. By now, ASMA have hosted more than hundreds of webinars, virtual events, every session being very unique and niche in its own way. Thus, passionately, we have delivered many successful series of deliberations. With 7 years of rich legacy, ASMA has grown with an outreach of more than 1 lakh community members connecting academia, corporate, and government, comprising of 500 plus private universities, deemed universities, state and open universities, 20,000 higher education institutes, B school, technical and skill education institutes, over 25,000 schools and preschools, edtech companies and education startups. We are continuously serving them via various facets of knowledge sharing platform, ASMA portal, ASMA TV, which is a streaming YouTube channel, ASMA webinars, events, conferences, ASMA awards, MDPs, FDPs, website development, social media enhancement, newsletters, and whatnot. Our mission to accelerate this movement of community outreach, knowledge sharing, and exploring collaboration opportunities, the journey becomes easier with your support, encouragement, and blessings. Life in post-pandemic world has accelerated the adoption of technology in education sector. Educators have recognized the benefits and opportunities brought in by technology and goes beyond the teaching and learning processes. Through collaborations with technology partners, schools have been able to bring innovative practices into their processes to build their efficient and streamlined systems. The third edition of ASMA School Leadership Conclave, powered by FinancePeer, will delve into the topic simplifying the education process through technology, and will explore how infusing technology into the school education system has helped to simplify and streamline the processes. This is a 3-month series of webinars. We are really thankful and glad to have the support and association of our partner FinancePeer. We are creating this knowledge sharing platform and networking platform, which I'm sure will also open doors of opportunities of collaborations. We are thrilled to inform that a webinar got a good response and participation. We are glad to have your participation as listeners, attendees, speakers, and partners. We are also live on our Facebook pages. So many of the people have been following us from that handles. We have shared the link on the LinkedIn portal as well. We are really thankful to all of you for contributing your valuable time today. Now, may I please invite my colleague Rahul Binoy, who has been the lead and connecting dots between the speakers and the attendees today. Rahul, can you please introduce the topic and the panel speakers for the day? Thank you so much.
Yeah, hi, good afternoon all my dear eminent speakers and my fellow audience. My name is Rahul Binoy and I'm the event head representing ASMA. Before starting the panel discussion, I'd like to introduce Mr. M.A. Parulkar. He's the head of sales at FinancePeer, and he'll be giving us a very insightful presentation on how technology partners like them are helping educational institutions. Mr.
Sure, thank you. Thank you so much. Do you want me to rightly go ahead with it or?
Yeah, you can begin with your presentation.
Perfect, perfect. If you can please give me the rights to share my screen, that will be fantastic.
I think you have the rights. Backend team.
Oh yeah, now I can do it. Here we go. So yes, my name is Amay. I'm the head of business development with FinancePeer. I hope my screen is visible to all. So yes, I just wanted maybe 10 minutes of your time to tell you a little bit about FinancePeer and about what are the things and what are the new and innovation things that we are doing in terms of technology, which can help educational institutions. So yes, at its crux, FinancePeer is India's safest, quickest, and largest education fee financing company. So just give me a second. Yeah. So the company comprises of 4 co-founders, primarily from IITB, Stanford, BITS and VJTI. So I guess that's a very good place to be to start off with. And to tell you a little bit about the company, FinancePeer is a Google incubated company, which was founded around 4 years back. And all of the founders are IIT or IIM grads. So the whole idea behind FinancePeer and how we started was the fact that we wanted to bridge a gap where, say, any student wants to go for any good quality education, then finance should not really be a hindrance, or it should not be a reason why someone is not able to get that or is not able to access that. So that was the same idea with which we started off with FinancePeer. And we came up with the concept that, hey, why don't we pay the entire year's fee to an institution and the students can pay us back in EMIs? And we don't charge a single penny of interest from the students. We can go ahead and so it's technically it's a win-win for everyone, because the institution is getting the entire money on day one and the students don't need to worry about making maybe quarterly, annual, or maybe bi-yearly payments. So this idea was something which quickly resonated with Google, and that's the reason why Google took us under their wing and they have invested in us. So Google is one of our parent companies. So the whole idea behind FinancePeer is that we help collect the entire year's fee and we give it to an institution on behalf of a child and they can pay us back. So there are 4 things which this causes. One is an institution gets the entire amount upfront on day one. So this includes all the costs, right? From tuition fee to transport to any kind of devices that a child may need for his education. Every single fee payment can be covered in this and we can give it to a child. So there are places like Doon International in Dehradun, there are Mussoorie International, but the fees are north of 10 lakh, but we were able to work that out as well. So fund is not really a problem. The next thing is that if you're offering, say, an EMI option for the students, what happens is this is very critical to a lot of institutions where there is a lot of competition nearby. So when a parent is trying to take admission, they can see that this is an institution where I can pay monthly and this is an institution where I can pay every quarter or annually. It makes a lot more economic sense to go to some place which is actually giving you some extra benefits, because we as Indians, we always want something extra. We always want something more. So this is the reason why this works exceptionally well. And that is the reason why there is a 30% increase in the number of admissions. So when someone, say, picks up a prospectus of an educational institution, say at an average, you are converting 20% or 30%, you can expect a boost of 30% in the number of admissions at the institution. Also, what happens is that it helps us with the working capital upfront on day one. So what does this mean, and why the year 2020 has taught us this is that working capital is extremely important. On day one, if you have the money in your hand, even if there is a problem tomorrow, you do have capital in your hand today to work it out. So be it teachers' salaries, be it infrastructural changes, for all of this, you need some kind of working capital, and you cannot rely on monthly payments from the students to come in or quarterly payments from the student to come in to go ahead and work that out. That's the reason why you don't need to go to banks for loans for any kind of changes as well, because the entire amount comes to you upfront on day one. Now, when I actually mentioned that we are an RBI registered NBFC, it does not really make sense with a lot of people. A lot of people feel that it's a very banking process. It's a very transactional process. And us being a very young at heart company, we decide that there are some things which have to be different. So we thought, why not give insurance to every single child? So tomorrow, if say there's a job loss due to COVID, or if there is an accident in the family, or if there is, say, a death in the family due to which they are not able to make the fee payment, that is covered through FinancePeer. So a child needs to just focus on their studies. Any external effects is something that we at FinancePeer will take care of with our insurance. So that is definitely, which is something which nobody was offering until now. And us being the pioneers, we thought that is something that we should start. Another huge difference is that when we start working with an institution, or anyone for that matter, it's not just about signing up, is it? It's all about the service that you can go and that you can provide to an institution. So we have 24/7 dedicated support. So in the future, if there is any problem, or if you need any help with the admission, you need someone with a standy ear, just give us a call. A person will be there. We'll be designing custom brochures, flyers, everything that is needed. Along with that, when we associate with groups, we immediately post an advertisement in the newspaper showing that this institution has taken the extra effort to go ahead and do something for the children, to do something for the parents, wherein their fee payment is not going to be a problem anymore. Uh, Along with this, like I mentioned, Google is our parent company. Along with that, we work with Apple. We work with a lot of celebrities like Rohit Sharma and the like. So we have a lot of guest appearances which are free of charge. There's no cost for this, because these are our partners that we bring to you, who can come in and who can help you during your Founders Day or during a lot of programs which are conducted on campus. And of course, because the students pay on time, there are also cashbacks. So who doesn't really enjoy that? So when someone makes a payment on time through FinancePeer, immediately they get a cashback. They get an amazing voucher. They get something or the other from our side as a token of appreciation. And the best thing is, we are future ready. We are the only company with an app available where you can go. It's a paperless environment. You can upload your documents and immediately you get an approval, which is real time. So that is something which actually makes FinancePeer the awesomeness that it is. So we are working with some of the stalwarts of the industry today. We are working with Akash. We are working with the entire Narayana group. We are working with White Hat Junior, Upgrad, Topper, Amity University. I'm sure a lot of these names will be familiar. So we are working with 4,500 education institutions today and counting. We have more than 12 lakh students paying their fees through FinancePeer, and we have coverage in more than 60 cities across the country. So that is a little bit about FinancePeer. Along with all of this, we have also started an arm where we can help with technology. So we can go and we can help provide institutions with ERP solutions, which are absolutely out of the planet. They're created in-house by own team with the help of specialists. We have device financing as well. So if you want Apple to come to your campus and promote the iPad for a price which is cheaper than Amazon, that is something that we can help facilitate, because Apple is also a partner. So there is so much to do in terms of technology, and I really would like to hear from all of us with regards to what is it that they have on offer for technology. And thank you so much for the time.
Thank you so much, Amir. That was a wonderful presentation, and that's really commendable of what all initiatives FinancePeer is taking. And I truly believe our audiences will get richly benefited out of it. Moving on to the panel discussion we all were waiting for to begin. Before that, I'd like to introduce our eminent speakers we have in here today with us. The first speaker I'd like to introduce is a passionate leader who pursued his interest in school and higher education, promoting new ventures, schools, and addressing quality-related issues in education. As a member of the Indian Administrative Service in the state of Uttar Pradesh. Prior to that, he spent 6 years in the Indian Army. During his tenure as an IAS, he chaired with various state ventures ranging from power distribution, dairy and milk products, urban housing, rural development, industrial development, and forestry. Please welcome the founder and chairman of Seliki International School and DPSG Society, Mr. Om Pathak.
Good afternoon, sir.
Moving on, our next speaker has over 3 decades of progressive quality experience in the field of education across a varied gamut of functions such as academic audit, curriculum development and planning, teacher training, mentoring and monitoring, school operations and finance, and setting up schools. She has added the schools with CBSE, ICSE, Cambridge, and IB program. Please welcome the CEO of DSR Education Society, Ms. Pratima Sinha.
Hello.
Our next speaker is a dynamic leader who believes in the teaching philosophy, which includes improved communication, freedom, peer educators, art integration, artificial intelligence, and coding integration in the curricula. Her innovative practices include the addition of new learning spaces on campus, flipped classroom lessons plan, internship, and skills training. Please welcome Ms. Rashmi Malik. She is the principal of Salvan Public School, Gurugram. Welcome you, ma'am. Our next speaker is a seasoned educator with over 34 years of experience in the field of education. She has also worked intensively with the British Council as a British Council ambassador in promoting the spirit of international mindedness. She has authored English language books for Frank Educational Aids and a book of essays for Madhuban. She is the recipient of numerous awards, including the Jean Laurie International Grant and the Inspiring Educators Award, conferred by Rocksport and Dr. Kiran Bedi. Please welcome Dr. Neeta Bali. She is the Director Principal and Head of School, GD Goenka World School, Sona. Welcome, ma'am. Then we have again Amey Parulkar. He'll be joining us in the panel too. Mr. Amey comes with a wealth of 15 years of experience and is one of the founding members of Finance Peer. He's a BTech engineer and is a go-to guy for school fee finance. He's a skilled professional who holds experience in global sales. Welcome you, Mr. Amey, again.
Hello, man.
And now I'd like to introduce the moderator of this August panel. She is a global goodwill ambassador and edu leader, a proud Rotarian and social ambassador for Indian Development Foundation. She is the coordinator for the SAARC Nations Regional Committee for Global Youth Parliament and also is the Secretary General for India for Global Talk Education. She is also an eminent speaker, moderator, and panelist at various conferences, events, and summits at global platforms. Her work is recognized by the World Book of Records, UK, in the personal and professional category. Please welcome the principal of Sanjeevani World School, Dr. Seema Negi. Welcome you, ma'am. Over to you, Seema, ma'am. You can take over the panel discussion.
Thank you, Rahul. And thank you, Asma, for this wonderful platform. And we have all stalwarts here. So I'm very sure that our audience is going to get the right blend of technology, teacher, and the transformation which is happening. And we have seen the transformation from last so many months. Now, as per the report by Accenture, they say human and machine can complement each other, resulting in increasing productivity. This collaboration could increase revenue by 38% in 2022. So that certainly means that the dynamic duo that we are talking about, technology and teacher, because technology and human, they can really create a new magic. So I would like to know first from the August gathering and the panel, I want your opening remark about how technology can complement education. Or is it that we used to say that technology is a game changer? We used to say that technology is enabler. But I think now it is not about game changing or being enabler. Now technology is the necessity, and each one of us have seen how teachers and how schools have embraced it. So your opening remark on technology. So we will start with Mr. Om Pathak. So please unmute yourself. Yes.
Can you hear me? Thank you, Mrs.
Yes, sir.
And thank you, my fellow panelists and the people who have logged in as audience. My best compliments and my good wishes to all of you. With a wish that you stay safe, stay healthy, and avoid COVID. I would just like to make some bullet points because most of our audience and our panelists understand the background, so I don't really have to, sort of elaborate on that. The core point in today's webinar is about simplifying the educational processes through technology. So, one of the things that we have seen in the last few decades that the whole focus of teaching learning and the educational processes has moved on from just at the base level of 3 R's to something more than that. Today, we're all saying it's about readying for life, preparing for life. School education, the 12 years, on the preschool, maybe 2 or 3 years, those 14 and 15 years are actually supposed to prepare a child for life. No, it's not just about scholastic any longer. It's about the whole person. It's about the foundational domains, as we call them, which includes sports, physical health, physical well being. It includes social, ethical, emotional learning, C learning. It includes art education, the vocational arts education. It also includes citizenship studies and how to be a good citizen, how to connect with the communities. So it's all about the personal effectiveness as well, as to how do you connect with people, how do you support people, how do you elicit support from people. So it's all about that. We are actually looking at a whole person who's designed to succeed. Scholastics being an important part of it, though, but not the only one. So, in that sort of a scenario, in the emerging society, the demand of parents and the societal needs have also increased manifold. They've also changed in color and complexion. They're no longer just about, you know, getting 90% or 95%, which has been very fashionable until now. But I do see a lot changing in the next couple of years. Given the new education policy, which is nothing but a reflection and a resonance of what most educators had been demanding. I'm glad that it came now, and it will probably put you in step with the rest of the world. So, the very fact that all of that is changing and a lot is changing, and teaching learning is becoming a fairly complex exercise. That is where technology comes in to simplify it. It helps you track what needs to be done. It helps you track what's been done. It helps you track the gaps. So, as we educators often talk about, the gaps between intended learning, transacted learning, and attained learning, those gaps are clearly identified. So, both the educator as well as the learner can know at all times as to where do they stand in their journey of learning and address those gaps. So that is where technology helps. Number one. Number two, the resources today. Net is now available to everyone, and in the next, I would say, about 12 months or so, we shall have 5G, and we shall have a more exploded version of machine learning and what is also called the artificial intelligence, and several other technology tools becoming available. No, I do see there is going to be an explosion and intrusion of technology in almost anything that we do. Now, the real question is, do we submit to technology or do we manage technology as per our needs? So, who gets on top? That is the question, and that is where we need to understand managing learning becomes the most important thing, and you use technology for managing learning. Today, most of you know that when it comes to learning resources, they are dime a dozen. I mean, the net is so full of it. Now, how do you figure out as to what is it that you want? What fits your bill? You know, what is it that you want to know? So there's so much of information that is now available. So making informed choices then becomes a challenge. And that is where again technology created the problem of plenty, and technology can help you sort from the plenty and take what you want really. So that is where that technology in selection of resources will be a great help. And moving further on, assessments. Assessments, again, we all know that, I will not elaborate, they're no longer judgmental. Assessment is like a milestone in your journey. It informs the learner as to how much of distance has the learner covered thus far and how much more do you need to go. So the learner at all times knows that I've covered so much, there's so much more to cover. And today, the diagnostic tools in assessment, which are possible only by deploying technology, will actually help you identifying the child's or the learner's learning gaps. And both the educator and the learner can together address those gaps. So, assessment truly in service of learning, not as a judgmental tool, but as a tool which enables. So these are the kind of changes that technology is bringing about, and books will evaporate. That 5.5 kg bag that we all been very upset about, been trying to reduce, but then again the communities don't want it, the parents don't want it. But I suppose with that little tab coming in, well, you can download all your NCRT books. It also becomes cost effective. It becomes anytime, anywhere. I mean, you recall the days when we had to do any research. We'll go to a library, first go pull out the title, then start shuffling pages. That alone will take you hours to come to the right spot. But today, just type in a few keywords and you have all the information that you want. So that is how technology is changing lives, and technology is changing education. So the real challenge is not just the hardware, but also the software, the tools, the search tools, the assessment tools, the teaching tools, and so on and so forth. And as a concluding note, I can only tell you that even ahead of the new education policy, uh, I was helping the committee headed by Mr. Kasturi Rangan in more than one ways. The DPSG group of schools, including Salakui, have already created a new curriculum design where teaching has totally been done away with. There's simply no teaching, there's only learning. And all schools' educational processes are student led and they are inquiry based. So, what do? We say explore, research, discover, integrate, assimilate, and share. So, that, ladies and gentlemen, is the way forward. And at the parting note, I can only say the last 12 months have really taught us how to deploy technology. Something was not of our making, but we all got pushed into it. And I must compliment all the educators, the way all of you responded to it. It was phenomenal response. And we were all new to it. We could have achieved more. But whatever we have achieved in the last 12 months, by not allowing the students to waste their full year, it may not have been as effective as a face-to-face teaching, but nonetheless, most of the schools, most of you rose up to the occasion and made the best possible use of the time that was available to you in COVID. We all learned technology, we deployed technology, we used technology to reach out. So, my hats off to all of you. You've done a great job, and I'm sure we will continue to use technology in more than one ways. I only just gave you a fleeting glimpse of what I think what technology can do for simplifying educational processes. Thank you.
So thank you, Mr. Pathak. That was so beautifully put. I think you have presented an entire holistic picture about how technology is not just enabler, not just knowledge provider, not just filling up the gap, but yes, making a future more bright for us, or we are more ready for the future. We always say that we have to prepare our children for uncertain future, but that uncertainty, those gaps in the uncertainty can be filled if we integrate technology in the better manner, and then we move ahead with that. So moving ahead, I will come to Dr. Neeta Bali. Dr. Bali, I would like to know from you your opening statement when it comes to integrate technology to make entire education process more simpler.
Yeah, thank you so much, Seema, and a very good afternoon to all the fellow panelists. Wonderful to meet such seasoned educators on this platform, and thank you, Asma, for having me on this platform. A very, very pertinent question has been raised by Seema about how technology is simplifying the process of teaching, learning, and more, I'd say learning, because we just heard Mr. Pathak speak so eloquently about learning, because I think it's more about students. So it is, since the environment is completely student centric, I think it is befitting that we use the word learning rather than teaching. I would say that this pandemic, in fact, has completely overturned, and there's a sea change in academic transaction. And it has happened overnight. And queerly enough, I think everyone has taken to technology like fish to water, which was a little unexpected, because even those who have always resisted technology seem to have taken to it rather well. So I would like to briefly, very, very briefly, talk about technology in teaching learning, technology for learning. So even though the students and teachers are not physically present, not with one another, I can see that there is this huge and very strong affinity and connect amongst the students and the teachers. And over a period of almost a year, as a head, I have never felt that there has ever been any gap. Of course, there are moments of lull when teachers and students will express that desire to actually physically meet one another. And that's bound to happen, that's inevitable, and that's human nature. But having said that, the learning outcomes have been achieved phenomenally. The calendared activities, strangely, although they were conducted completely online, phenomenally done. I could never think of doing an MUN, which was an international MUN, across so many countries with so many directors from overseas, completely online, and a fabulous TEDx event, which was completely student driven, also online for the first time in the 15-year history of this school, and very successfully conducted. So for me, even though students and teachers were not physically together, not present together, they managed and managed really well. So I would say this pandemic, in fact, if you look at the flip side, the other side of it, this has really come as a blessing in disguise, because people have been forced to improvise, people have been forced to innovate, they have been prodded to go beyond their comfort zone and discover new ways of expressing, new ways of connecting, new ways of executing. And of course, the use of various devices has gone up phenomenally. Everybody was using smart boards. In an international school that I had, it's a done deal to be using a smart board, or to be using a tablet, or to be using a laptop. It would be, it's a common sight to see students move around with the laptops, because nobody really carries big bulky books in the IB diploma program on their backs. Everybody carries ebooks. So that is a done deal. Of course, with the younger children also, we have never encouraged children carrying heavy bags. So we were quite used to children carrying their laptops all over the place, and a lot of academic transaction happened online. But having said that, I can definitely see that there is a greater fillip in the use of technology with the interactive flat panel displays, uh, tech tools, other tech tools, various apps, multimedia. A whole repository of resources has been tapped. That is, online resources has been tapped. And I think that's beautiful. Although, as I said, I repeat, because since I represent an international school, that is a done deal. You are expected to research, as Mr. Pathak very rightly said. Now with the NEP, this is something which is going to percolate to all schools, even those that run the national curriculum. There will be no teaching; there will be learning in the classrooms, which is so very true. That this is what education is all about. Education is not about a teacher standing on a pedestal and talking down to a student. I think in most international schools, and now with the NEP, the school education is bound to change dramatically, and students will be encouraged more and more to tune in, to find out, to sort out, to go further, to make conclusions, and then finally take action, and then reflect on the action taken. And that is where I think true learning will happen, and technology will come in very, very handy in this entire process that I talked about. I was talking about Kat Murdoch's, inquiry cycle. What I just spoke about is Kat Murdoch's inquiry cycle. So if we look at Kat Murdoch's inquiry cycle, I really think when we talk about finding out, how do you find out? You use technology to find out. as Mr. Pathak said, you have this huge repository at your fingertip. All you need to do is don't really need to go to the library and ferret out information from books. All you need to do is probably tap into the internet and you can find just about everything that you need to find out. So finding out has become that much easier. Sorting out has become that much easier. Going further and researching has become easier with technology. And more people are now doing that and drawing conclusions and finally taking action and then reflecting and sharing using technology. So I think life has become very easy with technology because more and more use of technology, definitely life has become easier for a certain class. Yes, but not for all and sundry. There are families where there may be just one device, which is a shared device. Now, that's where the problem surfaces. And I'm not talking about the affluent families which can invest in more than 1 and 2 and 3 devices, where every student will have their own individual device and every parent will have their own individual device. What about the not so fortunate? That is where you have a shared device, people probably have to take turns or a lot of learning is left out. So having said that, yes, but I think students are learning at their own pace, which is definitely better than before. There is greater interactivity, provided the teacher will use ingenuity. That goes without saying in face-to-face teaching, learning, or in an online learning situation, unless the teacher is the key factor, because it is the teacher who controls the climate of a classroom. So unless the teacher exercises ingenuity and creativity, you obviously cannot expect great learning outcomes. But having said that, I think by and large, the use of technology has definitely revolutionized, absolutely revolutionized the way we learn. And I think it is here to stay. There is no reneging. There's really no going back to chalk and talk anymore. I hope that somewhat answers your question, Seema.
Yes, and very well said. Definitely, the technology is not going to go away. And I think all of us, all the educators, we will never let it eliminate from our students' life, because that is the future. And if we have given them the future, I don't think it will ever be right to take it back from them. So very well said, Dr. Neeta. And the kind of activities that you have done in your school definitely resonates in your voice and your word, and how you have brought entire world together. You know, I think it's only pandemic who have made it so easy for us to have an MUN, where entire world was there. I mean, imagine a scenario where you are doing it physically and the kind of arrangements you have to do. So definitely all the educators have shown that, yes,
it was
yes,
so
it was much easier.
It was so much easier. And it was so much more fun. So, well.
So I hope we do not become complacent and we will feel, okay, this is a better world. And
of course, everyone misses the personal connect. That goes
yes,
the human connect is very important though.
True, true. And I think we should never waste good crisis. So we have to take this pandemic as good crisis, and from good crisis comes good solution, good situation, and every situation leads to something which is again a kind of innovation. And that is what the entire education world have shown to the world again. Now coming to Mrs. Pratima Sinha, ma'am, I would like to know from you your opening remark, and also if you can put a little bit more emphasis on, since we have spoken about learning, what about the assessment that we are doing for our children? Is it difficult? Is it easy? Are we getting the result that we were looking for? Or we have actually opened various tabs for our children, wherein when they are writing their online assessment, they do have the possibility and a probability of opening other windows and practicing something which we really do not appreciate. So, you know, many of the times, many of the schools have told us that children easily copy the things that they wanted. They have opened other tabs to find the answers. So how do we ensure that assessment that are happening technologically or technologically driven assessment are fair and they are tested well?
Yeah, Seema, we have just received a message from her. She has joined an emergency meeting. She may not be able to attend.
Okay. Rashmi ma'am, would you like to put some light on this, please? Ma'am, unmute yourself.
Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you so much, Asma, for having me on this panel discussion. And Dr. Negi, you're doing a great job. I mean, you're moderating it so well that I was actually thinking that as if I'm an audience here. And the previous panelists, Dr. Neeta Bali and Mr. Om Pathak, I mean, they are, I mean, they're the seniors in the industry, and of course, whatever they said actually encompassed entire thing of the education. You were talking about assessment. Yes, we were a little apprehensive about the assessment initially. Okay, and we were discussing with the entire team was sitting together and discussing that this is a possibility that when we give them the online Google form, then they will certainly open the other windows. They would certainly, maybe if their parents can be sitting in front of them and they can just, read it aloud and get the answer. And we have so many devices and so many apps available where the voice is recognized and the answer comes on screen immediately. So looking at all the technological aspects of giving online exams, we came to a conclusion that we have to change our questions. So we have to change our questions in such a form that the child, even if the child is reading, it takes a lot of time to read. Okay, so those devices are out of question. And secondly, if they are not reading, if they are even typing some keywords onto the Google, they don't get the answers. So we changed the examination pattern, the questions completely, and also we added, almost a daily basis assessment on the basis of the topic which is being taught by the teacher. So I gave a very free hand to all the team members. I said, I mean, it's absolutely up to you what marks you want to add up, what marks you want to, put in the report card of the child, as long as you are assessing the child regularly. All right, so what we did, we assessed the children on daily basis in the classrooms through obviously the non-threatening assessment platforms like quiz, general quiz, or any game or anything through which the children were supposed to answer there and then in the class, and the analysis was created. Those marks were then accumulated, and then one fine, you have to give one half yearly or one PT. So we gave that also. But the questions were changed. The questions were mostly case-based. So this is how we tackled, the so-called problem which people were facing about copying down. This is how we did.
So something that teachers have done during this time is see the innovation. Now, rather than the normal questions that teachers used to put in front of the children, how much they have to undergo a cycle of learning. So learning has taken place for everyone, whether it is child or it is teacher. And that is the beauty about this pandemic.
One more thing, Dr. Negi, I'll add one more beautiful thing which we introduced, and that was for class 9 and 11, because they were supposed to be more smarter than the other classes. So what we did, I told the staff members, I said, okay, you give them the task of creating questions themselves. So the entire process of research happened on campus for the half-yearly exams. And they all gave us beautiful questions. And I told teachers that you're free to use whatever you feel cannot be answered by Google. So the children whose questions were selected for the exam were given full marks in that. Obviously, they will be scoring full marks because they had created that question. So that was one more benefit which the children also had, and they also researched, and the teacher also researched, and the learning happened.
So that's so beautiful. That is why the dynamic duo that I spoke about in the beginning, teachers and technology, have to go hand in hand. So in the words of Shantanu Narayan, CEO of Adobe, he said machine learning is going to change every single aspect of technology, but no machine will ever be able to mimic the creative ability of human mind. So that is why this dynamic duo is here to stay, and we have to use both of them together. Now, coming to you, Mr. Amay, because you spoke about finance also, you spoke about how you are providing help or assistance to schools and parents regarding that. So my question is now, when we talk about technologies such as cloud computing, so do you think technologies like cloud computing be leveraged effectively to manage the process of admission as well as the fee payment, and how it can be done?
Absolutely. In fact, when we are talking about technology, right? by my perspective, like when I was in school, I was in one of the finest schools in Mumbai. So I remember whenever you go to the admission counter, it was full of files. It was filled uh, with files, paperwork, and there was tons and tons of it. And there was a dedicated storage room where, after a certain stipulated time, these files used to go there. So I remember while getting my passport, I had to go there to get my LC. So they had to dig in through the entire database of files and go ahead and pull out my record, and then based on that, they gave me a duplicate LC, which I which I needed. So I was waiting for a good 90 minutes to 2 hours for this searching, this frantic search to go on. So the whole idea is that with time, I'm sure a lot of things will change. Similarly, a lot of processes are also going to a paperless environment, and that would definitely help. So what we thought is we invested in an ERP, or entire school management software of our own, where everything the right from the library to the canteen to the admissions to every single department of an institution can be integrated through cloud computing on one dedicated server. It could be the AMS servers or any of these as well. But we can go ahead and we can have all of this, and we are offering this to little to no cost to all of the institutions where FinancePeer is already present. So that is something which I can help you guys with. Along with this, another thing is a lot of children, right? They need to be taught the value of money at a younger age. So with this, one of the initiatives that we have taken is we have a small student card for every child. So once they enter the premise, their attendance will automatically be tabulated. Along with that, if they are, say, purchasing stationery, canteen, anything in the premise of the institution, that will automatically be tabulated, and they will get like a credit card bill. So the parents can have a limit that in a day, maybe a child can spend a maximum of 200 rupees or something like that. And they can do that. And all of this is completely paperless. So a school will know the exact location of a child where there are in a school premise. The parents will know where the expenses are being made. And when it comes to the entire admission process, to the tuitions, to the extracurricular, everything can be managed in one go. Along with this, one of the great things about technology is that when I was in school, I remember after the exams, our teachers used to come with stacks of papers and they used to correct it in front of us, and while they were teaching us. So that's where our first form of multitasking came into. That's when we used to see a teacher correct a paper and at the same time teaching, or when they're in the staff room, everyone has a stack of paper. So today, that's not really the case. Just the way Mr. Om Pathak mentioned, that we have a lot of technological softwares and solutions available today, even on the FinancePeer Learn app, where what you can do is whatever that you're teaching through LMS, the papers will be corrected immediately. So automatically you will get an idea about what exactly is going on. They'll give you a diagnostic of each student. Like, take for instance, if Amay is not very good at mathematics, but Dr. Neeta is fantastic at it, then they will tell that yes, this part of maths is something which is resonating very well with Neeta ma'am. Amay does not probably understand trigonometry, while he's got the hang of derivation and integration a little. So up to this micro level, it can be integrated, and all of this being on cloud, you don't need to worry about the report cards and all of that. All of that can be accessed by the parents within a day or within 2 days. So it saves time, right? Because when a teacher is sitting at home and maybe spending even 2 or 3 minutes correcting a paper for each child for a class of maybe 20 or 30 students, that's quite some time that is going into this. Also, the diagnostic results that they get out of it is phenomenal. And I would really have liked it if my teacher knew what exactly my weaknesses are. And the next time I raise my hand, she would know that, okay, Amay is probably not very good at this, but he's still trying. I want to encourage him with this. So So these are just a couple of things which will come with it. And real estate is a huge deal at every institution. I don't think we would want an entire room filled with documents and files lying around there from ages and ages, and then getting it fumigated for termites and all of this. I think that's a part of the past. And with tech, I'm sure, and with cloud computing and secure cloud computing, I think we should be looking at a much, much brighter future.
Very, very well said, because when we reflect back and when we see the storerooms full of papers, and after 5 years we think, okay, what do we have to do with these papers now? These are students' record, and how do we, free this space? And then today, when we speak about, say, sustainable development goals also, we know we have to leave a better future for our children. We know we have to leave a better tomorrow. So saving paper might seems very, very simple thing right now, but that's something which is a bigger thing when we talk about the future, when we talk about green revolution. All these small steps will definitely lead to a better future. So moving ahead from cloud computing, if I move ahead to a blockchain, because blockchain is the new buzzword these days. So Dr. Bali, since you are in international education and dealing with IBDP also, I think you would be able to put or throw some light on this. Do you think we can inherit blockchain mechanism in education technology? And if yes, how is it going to be possible?
Thank you, Seema, for asking this question about blockchain technology, though my knowledge in this is a little limited, but definitely I can see that amongst the students, there is this huge interest in the blockchain technology. And I must tell you that very, very young students, I would say students in the age of, between the age of 16 and 17, have been talking about blockchain technology and the use of blockchain technology in various fields, particularly for IoT apps, and they've been speaking about blockchain development. However, based on whatever little I know, as I said, I am not an expert on this, but definitely whatever little I know, we can leverage this technology. We can leverage cloud HSM using blockchain platform network and integrate it perhaps into teaching learning and in other areas, because apparently blockchain is a tamper evident shared digital technology. You can create ledgers that record transactions in public domain, in the private domain, in a peer-to-peer network. So it can, as probably blockchain can act as a single source of authentic information. And that's because people in a blockchain network are the only one who are probably allowed to view the transactions which are relevant to them. So that way, I guess, perhaps blockchain technology can be very useful. I think this is pretty much information that I have with me that I could share with you. I'm sure you can ask the others because they may be better equipped to answer this.
So your answer, you have answered it very well, because when we are talking about education, we have just started implementing or incorporating blockchain technology, and definitely it will be a big help for us when it comes to securing students' resources, students' academic data, because the child might have to use his 10th or 12th report card or certificate at many places. So if we have blockchain technology is nothing but database nodes. So all nodes are interconnected, and from anywhere that the child want to access, the child can do that. So you have very well answered the question. So moving ahead to you, Ms. Rashmi, I would also like to know, we are talking about technological revolution. Okay. So when we talk about revolution, we have seen the different paradigms the education has gone. It is moving from linear learning to flexible learning. So do you think this kind of module now will enhance learning at the end of the day, or is it something which is only during the pandemic we have seen, and the moment we will open the schools, things will change to a better or to a worse state? Your viewpoints on that?
Very, very pertinent question at this time, because every educator is, I think, thinking and deliberating on this only, whether we should be continuing with whatever we are doing, or after the pandemic, if it will be changed completely to back to the square one types. But I personally do not think the things will go back to the normal things, normal way, the earlier ones, where the technology was only limited inside the classroom in the form of smart boards. I am very sure that now the blended teaching is going to be the actual solution to all the teaching learning processes. uh, I mean, I know you are also running a school and you know that how things have changed recently. We have seen the emergence of independent learners now, if you have seen that. And then there is so much of flexibility in teaching learning process, which was never there. It used to be from 8 to 2:30 and it's finished. And after that, whatever the child is doing, the teacher was not feeling responsible. But now I have seen that my team members, they work 24 by 7. Whenever a child is just giving them a WhatsApp message and telling them that, okay, ma'am, I need your, help in this particular topic. And then they take out time from their evening schedule of their family life. And then they connect with them on Zoom and then, give the whatever information the child was looking for. So I feel that yes, the technology has revolutionized during the pandemic. And as you said, that is a flip side. Yes, it is a flip side, but then very fortunate for the education industry, because I've been telling all the time that education, you cannot call it as a static process. It is not a static process. It is a dynamic process, right? It keeps changing day in and day out, months. But it was not happening before the pandemic, before this revolution came, the IT revolution came. And being from the IT background, I mean, I'm the person who's actually pleased with this transformation. I'm so happy because it would have otherwise taken me, 5 to 6 years to get these changes in the system. But because of this pandemic, suddenly everything, came on the digital platform and the research started happening. As educators, you also know that we are all looking forward to a lot of researches happening so that we can improve our systems. And this now automatically is happening because everybody has to research what platform, what app, what tool to use. So that culture has set in, and NEP also has come at the right time with the right kind of words in it. And actually, it's very exciting time for the education industry this time. And people like Ame, who are really working hard to do a lot of innovations in this industry. And I'm sure, you will be really helping us out with the AI being integrated into our processes, the blockchain process which you were talking about. Everything will come inside the system only to support the educationists and support the teachers and the learners and the parents. And with this, I'm actually looking for a very, very bright future for our education industry in the world now.
Yes, definitely. And I think that is what that is what is our vision as educators, as leaders of the school. We want the better vision for our children. And for that, we have to really become visionary. We have to come out of our own comfort zone. And I think all of us have gone through the simple cycle, which is very simple, but we always felt it is very complicated. That is unlearn, relearn, and learn again. So now it has become very simple because we are doing it every day. So Mr. Ame, suppose this pandemic was not there and we were not thrown to this disaster-driven digitalization, do you think still the kind of innovation that you were doing would have come to us so soon, or it would have taken another 4 to 5 years, as Rashmi ma'am said?
So I 100% agree with Rashmi ma'am here that it's only during a certain problem that you think of a solution. Unless there is not a real problem, you will not really go around running for solutions behind it. So I think the government has been talking about Digital India since a very long time, an exceptionally long time. But when demonetization happened, that's when people realized that yes, Paytm is something that we really need. Google Pay is something that we really need. So yes, in the same tone, I would say that technology would have always been there, but it would have been a lot slower So probably the things that we see today, I've seen that at a lot of institutions where we provide iPads, I've seen that during the lockdown, there is no access to go ahead and go to the institution and do dissections and everything for the medical students. So we provide them with iPads with a software built in it, where they can have the entire AI functionality. They can do the dissection on the iPad. It may not be equivalent to the real thing, but it's close enough. So similarly, I think these things are being facilitated, and only when there are huge problems do we come up with fantastic results, and that's one of those outcomes are the kind of solutions which are available in the market today. So the AI. Oculus Prime, which is doing brilliantly well. Apple is working with Apple Labs at a lot of institutions. Google is providing Google Chromebooks. So there wasn't as much of a demand earlier, but probably the lockdown has definitely has facilitated it, because there's no other medium for a child to go ahead and learn. So even if, like a lot of other panelists mentioned, there are 4 or 5 people maybe sharing a laptop at home, but still people are investing in a laptop for their education.
So very well said, because initially children used to feel that if mobile is there in their hand, they just have to play. So they have understood mobile is not just to play, mobile is there to learn also. And I think all of us have gone to these different learning landscape, and we have seen during these times a lot of personalized learning happening. As Rashmi ma'am gave example, like teachers are there to reach out to student at any point of time. We have seen more of empathy because homes are open to school and schools are open to home. Most of the schools have their own case studies where they have become more closer to their parents' fraternity. And I think slowly and slowly we are developing a culture of constant change. We are going ahead with the change, and we are more open to learning, whether it's personalized learning or it's adaptive learning, differentiated learning, competency based learning. There is no area which I think teachers have left unturned. And we have seen the support that parents have given us. Maybe initially during few of the months we thought, okay, things will be back to normal. Then when things started seeping in and we realized, no, this is here to stay for a little longer time, I think parents then became little more supportive. Everybody has their own challenges, but yes, together we have overcome that challenge. And Mr. Om Pathak has joined us again. Mr. Pathak, I would like to know from you and from your expertise, any kind of successful mantra would you like to give to the teaching fraternity or the audience who is watching us today, that right from disaster driven digitalization to something called together teacher and technology, the dynamic duo that I started with, how this dynamic duo can be the change maker or can be the new learning landscape for the coming years? So you need to unmute yourself.
One of the things that I thought I always knew, but this pandemic only helped me reconfirm what I thought I knew, was that regardless of the size of a school, the kind of talent that is available within our teaching community in any school is something that we rarely tap into. We look at trainers from outside, and what I discovered was that out of nearly 900 odd teachers that we have on rolls, I figured out that each one of them had a lot to contribute and a lot to enrich one another. Worldwide, there's a raging debate about the disconnect between the classroom and the research and the training institutions. Even someone as eminent as the Teachers College Columbia admits that what they teach in the Teachers College Columbia doesn't actually roll out the way they envisage in the classrooms. So teachers have to learn afresh. But here we tried a new experiment and it worked beautifully. And that is when the class teachers became researchers. And I want to share with the group that in a matter of last 12 months that we've been working together and collaborating digitally, we found that there was a researcher waiting to happen in every teacher. Their educational jargon has changed in the last 12 months. They have become different people. They have held each other's hands and they have rediscovered and reinvented themselves. I remember that through the pandemic, which is not yet over though, we created a professional learning group for each grade and for each subject. Now, there are about 8 to 10 schools across, the country that we operate. Now, each one of the teachers teaching a particular grade, a particular subject, they came together as a part of the PLC, as we call it. And they suddenly discovered themselves to be so enriched and so autonomous. So, the point that I'm wishing to make is that we look for competences and resources outside. We just need to look within and invoke what we have. And you would be surprised, and you perhaps know it already, that there's so much that we already have. In fact, we used to hire people from outside for a 10 days training program for all our teachers, but we have all come to the conclusion that we don't need it. We have the talent within us. So, what I'm saying is that schools must look within for solutions, and schools have all the solutions within, whether it is digital, whether it's technology, whether it's subject mastery, whether it's pedagogical, just about anything, name it, and you already have it. So, I would encourage everyone to do look within and invoke their inner strengths. And by the way, I can make an offer. As I told you, about 900 odd teachers came together and we created a document called Curriculum Design, Curriculum Design 2020, and the subtitle is Design and Governance. One is the design, and the second is how do you govern that? How do you roll that design out inside the classroom? And since educational processes cannot be and should not be patented, I'm quite happy to share that with any school across the country who wishes to take advantage of that. But again, don't just take it, you will have to then make sure that it actually responds to your school needs. We'll be happy to share that. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Pathak. This gesture of sharing is something called collaboration. And I think that is what we have seen beautifully during this pandemic time. Since you spoke about we need to look within first and try to find out how much treasure is there within. That is what we have done during this pandemic. And we have actually seen that our teachers are powerhouse of talent. They have so much. We never looked into that because we were in the mundane race of finishing the portion and examination and everything. Actually, this pandemic has given us time to reflect back. So I'll add few more look, which I also follow very deeply, is we need to look around. When we look around, we see collaboration. And Mr. Pathak has given the beautiful example of collaboration, where he's ready to share the document that he has made. Then we have to look beyond. When we look beyond the normalcy, we see creativity everywhere. We'll see how creatively we have changed as a human also, and how creatively we have conducted various events and we have brought the screens alive. Then we have to look within. Definitely we have to introspect. All of us have done that. We have to look deep, and then it gives rise to critical thinking. And last but not the least, we have to look up. When we look up, we see the sky, the abundance of opportunity that are there. Are we ready to receive that? That is what we have to do. So moving ahead, this disruption has actually brought a lot of positive changes. So Dr. Bali, your mantra for teachers to embrace this technology and this dynamic duo that we are talking about since beginning, technology and teacher are the new future. What do you have to conclude?
Seema, I'd like to conclude by saying that, as you very rightly said, this is a dynamic duo. okay, put together teachers and technology. Now, I think they have become almost inseparable. And it's inevitable that in the days to come, we can't revert to the old pattern of chalk and talk. It is going to be hybrid teaching. There may be a lot of face-to-face teaching, but there definitely will be a hybrid model. That is what I foresee. I don't foresee that, it'll only be teacher-student connect in real person. There is bound to be a lot of usage of technology and technological tools. And I'm sure every school will try whatever within their power to further enhance the level of usage of technology within the school premises. So that is bound to happen, and technology is here, and technology is here to stay, and for a good reason. Because I think as long as we are using technology very, very judiciously, using it for the advantage of the students, for enhancing the horizons of our teachers, as a world school, we have been doing that. It is inherent in the international curriculum. I'm sure the others also on the panel are maybe running international schools. So it's deeply inherent in an international curriculum. So it is here, but it has, of course, gone up by many notches. That goes without saying. And I think it's here to stay. Technology is here to stay. And I see a very, very positive future for education when we continue to enhance the use of technology and train our teachers.
Beautifully put up. And something I would like to highlight here. Yes, technology is here to stay, as Neeta ma'am said, and beautifully she said, we have to use it judiciously. And I think that is the key. It's we, the educator, who have to use it well and make our children use it well, because we are not talking about the abundance of information which is available. We are talking about knowledge. We have to take them from the journey of information to knowledge and knowledge to wisdom. And that is what educators can do. And that is where the human element is very, very important. So coming to you, Rashmi ma'am, since the reset button is already pressed, okay, and we all are in that mode of resetting ourselves, whether it's self-learning or it's peer learning or it's buddy learning or it's learning with various apps. So where do you see this reset button going? How long we have to press it? And is this reset button technologically driven, or is the reset button, say, humanly driven?
See, Seema, I would just would like to, focus on one particular thing, that we keep on talking about, that we are technologically driven now. No, we are not. If you see, the technology is being driven by human till date, right? So I don't see this reset button being done by the technology. Yes, technology will keep on coming, the innovations will keep on coming, but ultimately the users is supposed to be from the human side. So I'm looking forward to the innovative processes in the system, the innovation in the filtering of the information, innovation in the filtering of the apps and the tools which we have to use, right? And of course, this will be done not only by the teachers, but by the students also. So technology will be driven by humans only, but there is a possibility that the student now will start, asking for a particular kind of digital platform for the schools. Plus, if you see NEP also, the government has already, have the foundation laid down for NETF, that is the National Educational Technology Forum, which is going to help all the schools across the country. Of course, schools like ours are self-driven, and we are, into much faster pace than the other government schools. But then I don't see technology giving us a reset button. We will be using that reset button. We will be creating that reset button and then using it and go further. And the ultimate aim, of course, we all have is that we should have the self-directed learners, whether it is a teacher or a child, they have to be self-directed, and technology will only help them to become that way, right? And human intervention, obviously, the teacher's role cannot be done away. Cannot be done away, come what may, because the children will always be needing those gurus of theirs, to chart out the right path for their lives. So that's what
very
yeah.
Yes, very well said, Rashmi ma'am, because gone are the days where we used to be the consumer of technology. Now we are the creator of technology. So definitely the reset button will always be there in our hand, but we have to again use that reset button very judiciously, so that together, technology and teachers, they are creating magic for their students, so that students, as we know, we always say that the future of the nation is groomed in the classroom. So let's make our classroom so knowledge centric that our children are ready for any kind of pandemic or any kind of uncertainty that they will have to face in future. So definitely we are preparing our children for a very, very uncertain future when teachers and technology work hand in hand, but definitely it will be human driven, not machine driven. So coming to you, Mr. Amay, for your concluding remark, because you are a tech guy, you are dealing a lot with technology, and we others are educators and we are a lot human centric, wherein we know technology is here to stay and we are not eliminating the role of technology. But if we have technology and teachers, we will always raise our hand for teacher first. What do you have to say, or any mantra that you would like to give to teachers when it comes to technology?
Well, no doubt about it. In fact, just the way you just mentioned a little while back, that we need to keep our eyes and ears open and observe what is happening around us. Similarly, I would stick to the same thing. The power of collaboration is as big as any, and a beautiful platform like ASMA, which is actually connecting all of us together. There definitely are a lot of things in common. There are a lot of things which we can co-collaborate upon. So if any of the institutions over here need any kind of assistance, be it fee financing, be it products like ERP, the entire integration that I spoke about, we can do all of those as a complementary for all of the institutions here. So we don't want a single penny for it. We can start the association. You can continue teaching. You can focus on your teaching, and then look back and tell me, hey, Amay, whatever that you've provided me with today, is that helping my teaching or not? Is that helping make my teaching a bit more enriching? Is it making the entire experience better or not? And if it is, I'll be the happiest man at the end of the day.
Thank you so much for that wonderful offer. And thank you, Asma. Because of platforms like you, we have seen the collaboration happening. And today, again, we saw a beautiful example of collaboration, wherein still there are many institutions who are struggling with technology, and they have this threat that maybe technology will take over. But with today's deliberation, where we try to simplify each and every aspect of technology, and at the same time, we have maintained that human aspect can never be eliminated. And we will not, I'm not saying it's 50-50, maybe human aspect will be 70%. They are thinking their creativity and using 30% of technology, maybe, but a time will come that 70% technology we have to use, but that will be driven by 30% of human efforts. So there will be different learning landscape. There will be major paradigm shift, but things will be simple if we use it judiciously. And thank you, Asma, for this beautiful platform and the collaboration and the beautiful offers that Mr. Pathak and Mr. Amay has given to all the audience. Please make use of that, because जब मिलता है तो ले लेना चाहिए. So, and you are getting it for free. Understand that thing in the terms of sales. They say, अगर आपका customer आपको कुछ भी दे रहा है तो आपको ले लेना चाहिए. Here you are getting it from Stalwarts. So please make use of that. The more we will take, the more we will learn, the more and better way we will be able to impart it to our learners. So that's all from my side. Thank you, panelists. It was so good, so enriching. Mr. Chandan, all yours.
Yes, ma'am. There is a question for you. If you can see the chat box, Avinash Chawla is asking something.
Dr. Negi, what do you think? If all conditions are normal and we have developed innovations and skill to transfer ourselves for online teaching and learning, will we restore to online program in preference of offline system already in force? So this is a wonderful question, and I think this was in between answered also by Rashmi ma'am also, and to some extent Neeta ma'am also. See, I mean, even if we are empowered with everything that is used for online, whenever offline module will come, everybody, I think all the panelists, they said that we are not going to wean away technology. So what we will follow will be a beautiful blend of technology as well as our ways of teaching the way we were. Maybe we will not go back to the traditional world, we'll enhance our own self, but we will use both the methods, because as already discussed, that technology and human element will go hand in hand. If anyone else also would like to give some input to this question, please feel free to do that. But I think all of us agree to this one thing, that whenever we'll come from online mode to offline mode, we will be blending technology and our own practices together.
That's true. In fact, it will be very beneficial for the weak students, who need individual attention. So for that, this technology will be really, really very useful after the schools or during the school hours also. So that is what I'm looking for, basically.
Another question is, ma'am, one more question if you want to take that.
NCERT books one?
Yeah.
NCERT books oriented syllabus must include in all schools, colleges, university, along with the health science, its technology, natural care. I think most of these are answered in our new education policy, because if you see new education policy, health, wellness, nutrition, everything is a part of curriculum now. So I think we just have to wait till 2022 when we will implement new education policy. Most of the things asked in these questions are already there, are answered in new education policy.
Great. So with this, actually, we come to an end, ma'am. I hope this session could have been continued for long and long, because as Rashmiji said, I too, for a time, was been thinking that I'm an audience, and I was pretty enjoying Dr. Seema Negi, you being the moderator. We are so blessed to have you today, and thank you so much for, accepting our invitation to be moderating this session, ma'am. First of all, let me wish you a very happy birthday. This is a special day. And
thank you so
on
much.
this special day, you're still working. You are being a true inspiration for us, ma'am. So a great moderation by you once again, Seemaji, that we are becoming the creator of technology, well said by everybody. And with reset button in hands, definitely a human touch is required and will continue for now, not going back to chalk and talk method. Again, the hybrid model is the way ahead. We have to look within, as there was a comment from one of the gentlemen, and again we have to look up, Dr. Seema, as you said. So looking within and looking up is actually, we are expanding the horizons, and our whatever the inner strength which we have. Everybody has to realize that. The teachers, the parents, your teaching staff, your non-teaching staff, everybody, because this is a collaborative effort, and because of our collaborative effort, we are going to, sail off this difficult situation and difficult times. We hope that you all have, enjoyed and learned valuable insights from our eminent speakers today. You shared your best practices, your experience with technology, and how it has helped school education becoming more accessible and more affordable. Technology partners like FinancePeer plays a very important role in understanding your needs, challenges, and then coming up with an effective and cost-effective solutions. And before we commenting anything, Amey has already, has shared a offer to all of us. Let us, utilize that benefit. Very few people are there in this industries who are already established, and they keep on asking money, but there are a few entrants who are really doing some good job. And if they want this kind of association and collaboration to happen, let us take this. And so let's embrace the technology. This is what has been learning. Be innovative, keep scaling and reskilling. We truly appreciate your time with us. Thank you all. Let's see by when we'll be prepared to open the school gates again. And my best wishes to the journey ahead to all of you, ma'am, your teaching staff, your non-teaching staff. My best wishes to the students who are, preparing for their board examinations, though it's a few months later, but still, after so many news coming and re-coming, now we have finally got a date of the board examinations. So, and finally, before departing, let's please, like and subscribe our social media handles. And for the regular updates which we are keeping and which are bringing in the education industry. It is also about the upcoming events. It is also about the so much of articles and good news which is related to the edtech sector and the academia sector. We have also flashed a feedback link in the chat box. So that helps us, understand better that how engaging this session was, and it also helps us, improvise and improve in the execution and delivery of upcoming webinars which we are around to come. So that feedback is very important in terms of the operations team, which is behind the screen, who is working day and hard to bring this event live, and your participation over here. So thank you so much. Stay safe, stay tuned, and namaste to everybody.